OpenAI researchers just quit, and they're saying the company is hiding the truth about AI's real impact. This isn't speculation. This is documented in a bombshell Wired investigation. And what they're allegedly hiding, it's way worse than you think. Stay with me, because once you see what these insiders are walking away from, you'll understand why AI CEOs have suddenly gone silent. Here's what we know. According to Wired's reporting, 4 sources close to OpenAI claim the company is actively suppressing its own economic research. Why? Because the findings are too negative. We're talking about internal studies showing massive job displacement, real numbers, real timelines, that OpenAI decided the public shouldn't see yet. Now think about what that means. This is a company that positions itself as a responsible AI leader. They've told us repeatedly they care about safety, about transparency, about doing the right thing. But when their own research conflicts with their business interests, suddenly transparency disappears. And it gets worse. This frustration reached a breaking point. At least 2 members of OpenAI's economic research team quit entirely. One of them, economist Tom Cunningham, reportedly wrote in his internal farewell message that the team was veering away from real research and toward acting like propaganda. Let that sink in. Propaganda. That's not a casual word. That implies deliberate manipulation of public perception. And here's the thing, people don't walk away from 6-figure salaries, stock compensation in one of the hottest companies on earth, unless something deeply ethical is at stake. So ask yourself, what kind of research makes highly paid AI researchers quit rather than stay quiet? What conclusions were so uncomfortable that publishing them became unacceptable? The most obvious answer? Job displacement at scale. Not hypothetical, not decades away. Real, measurable economic damage happening right now, faster than anyone is publicly admitting. And this isn't just about job numbers on a spreadsheet. We're talking about the complete restructuring of how people enter the workforce, build skills, and advance their careers. The research OpenAI is allegedly hiding likely shows that AI is eliminating the training ground entire professions depend on. And this is where it gets really interesting, because not every AI company is playing this game. Anthropic's CEO Dario Amodei has been completely transparent about this. He's openly stated that white-collar job loss is real and imminent, that 50 to 60% of certain entry-level roles could disappear within 1 to 5 years. He's not hiding, he's not downplaying, he's saying, this is happening. AI is already exceeding the average human at these tasks. We need to prepare. That kind of honesty builds trust. Even when the message is uncomfortable, OpenAI's approach, by comparison, it looks evasive, it looks calculated. And in moments of rapid technological change, perception matters almost as much as reality. When one company can speak openly about the challenges ahead, while another allegedly suppresses its own research, the contrast becomes impossible to ignore. Now, here's what concerns me most. This isn't the first time OpenAI employees have walked away over ethical concerns. We've seen this pattern before, and it's becoming harder to dismiss as coincidence. Someone quit the super alignment team saying OpenAI focused on shiny products instead of actually focusing on safety. Miles Brundage left specifically to publish research OpenAI wouldn't release. Multiple safety researchers have departed citing similar concerns about the company's direction and priorities. Every time this happens, it's a signal. These aren't disgruntled employees who couldn't handle the pressure. These are people who were on the inside, who saw something that made staying impossible. And when multiple people independently reach that same conclusion, that's not bad luck. That's a pattern. That's a warning sign that something fundamental has shifted inside the company. Behind the scenes, even OpenAI seems to recognize the danger. I found their internal document called AI at Work, OpenAI's Workforce Blueprint, and buried in there is this admission. If these trends accelerate quickly, they could push the first rung of the ladder out of reach for many new graduates at a faster rate than new jobs are created, requiring a strong response from companies and governments. They know. They've documented it internally. They understand that AI is eliminating the training ground humans rely on to build careers. Entry-level legal work, junior consulting roles, administrative positions, financial analysis, customer service training. These aren't just jobs being replaced, these are the stepping stones entire career paths are built on. Think about what happens when you remove the bottom rungs of a ladder. Everyone below can't climb up. An entire generation could find themselves locked out of the careers that previous generations used to build expertise and advance. And here's the kicker. Governments move slowly. Education systems lag behind technology by years, sometimes decades. AI advances exponentially. That mismatch? That's where instability grows. That's where public anger intensifies. That's where the economic damage becomes impossible to hide. And that anger? It's not fringe anymore, it's mainstream. There's new research talking about ambient animosity toward AI, this constant background resentment that's growing louder as AI becomes more visible in people's lives. People feel like AI is being forced into their world without consent, without safeguards, without honest discussion of consequences. They're seeing AI replace creative work, automate customer service, and eliminate entry-level positions while companies talk about augmentation and productivity gains. And history shows us what happens when elites adopt worker-replacing technology while minimizing its harm. Resentment doesn't stay online. It spills into politics. It drives regulation. It creates social unrest. The Industrial Revolution taught us this. The outsourcing wave of the 2000s taught us this. And we're about to learn it again. This is exactly why I made yesterday's video about AI CEOs going silent. They see this coming. They understand that once the economic impact becomes undeniable, the conversation shifts from innovation to blame, from possibility to accountability. And when that shift happens, being the public face of AI becomes dangerous. Silence becomes strategy. Reduced visibility becomes protection. Look, AI itself isn't evil. The technology has incredible potential to solve real problems, to accelerate research, to make certain work more fulfilling. But pretending that its economic consequences are minimal or manageable? That's reckless. That's the kind of thinking that erodes public trust and invites backlash. OpenAI says they're launching certification programs, training 10 million Americans in AI skills by 2030, building a jobs platform to help people transition. Great, those are steps in the right direction. But here's my question. Will they actually follow through when their own company hits turbulence? Will these programs still exist if OpenAI's valuation crashes or their funding dries up? Because these aren't optional nice-to-haves. These are ethical obligations. When you build technology that fundamentally reshapes the economy, you can't just wash your hands and say, "Not my problem," when people get displaced. The real risk isn't artificial general intelligence suddenly turning hostile. It's millions of people feeling displaced, lied to, and ignored while a small number of companies accumulate unprecedented power and wealth. That's how trust collapses. That's how entire industries turn against new technology. And once trust is gone, no amount of technical progress restores it quickly. So when AI researchers quit citing propaganda, when CEOs disappear from public debate, when internal research gets buried because it's too uncomfortable to share, pay attention. It's not because there's nothing to say. It's because the truth is becoming harder to spin. The people closest to this technology understand how fast this is moving and how fragile public tolerance really is. Here's what I want to know from you. Do you think OpenAI's lack of transparency here is a deal breaker? Or do you think every company would do the same in their position? And more importantly, are you preparing for what's actually coming, or are you still waiting for AI companies to tell you the truth? Let me know in the comments, because this conversation is just getting started. The decisions being made right now in boardrooms and research labs will shape the next decade of work, and we deserve to know what's really happening. And if you want to understand why AI leaders are changing their entire public strategy right now, I covered that in yesterday's video. Link in the description. This is all connected. See you in the next one.